Where were you?
Alicent came to Dragonstone. She will open the gates of the Red Keep and surrender to me.
You cannot trust her. The king has abdicated the throne.
A new dawn is coming. A new line of unsullied kings.
You are the Queen of Dragons. You have an absolute power within your grasp.
Soon or late, Rhaenyra will send her new dragons here. It would be the end.
This is the moment you become queen.
Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and in this video we're breaking down House of the Dragon. The first trailer for season 3 has just dropped and there's a ton of things to talk about. Throughout this video we're going to be discussing where the story goes to give you a bit of context to what you've seen in the teaser. Now though the series has never been one for one with the book exactly, this may spoil some stuff for you, so turn off now if you don't want that ruined. You might also be blessed with a terrible memory like me and have totally forgotten it when the season releases in June. Yay! For this video though, I want to do things a little bit differently, and instead of talking about the trailer with how things happen in that and how they're edited, I actually want to go through the next section of the book in chronological order. That will basically flesh out the whole story and give you some context to what you're seeing on screen, rather than just being like, well, this bit happens here and this bit happens there, and it's all kind of random all over the place. So yeah, I think that'll give you a much better idea of what's going on, but if you don't like it, that's what the comments are for. Call me a dickhead. Now the season itself will likely be based around the second half of the chapter, the dying of the dragons, the red dragon and the gold. The first half of that chapter is basically all of season 2, with the second half being what's likely going to be season 3. That ends with Rhaenyra triumphant, and then I'm guessing season 4 will cover the rest. That has been confirmed to be the last season though, so we might end up covering more ground for this one. Hopefully anyway. Might just be another 8 episodes of Rhaenyra saying, "What would you have me do?" Now last season ended with the episode The Queen Who Ever Was. This avoided a major climactic battle and deaths, and instead it set things up for where we're going to kickstart things here. In that we had Daemon finally breaking free of his Luigi's Mansion side quest and realizing that he had to support Rhaenyra. He had a prophetic vision at the Weirwood Tree and saw the dangers that were coming ahead. Thus, he bent the knee and also gathered an army. We also saw as Alicent and Rhaenyra met in secret on Dragonstone. This was completely absent from the book, brand new for the series, and that included the deal that Alicent offered. Alicent said that if Rhaenyra took King's Landing, that they'd basically open the gates for them. As for Aemond, he burned the town of Sharppoint. While this was going on, Larys helped Aegon escape King's Landing in secret, and we saw as the armies mobilized. These scenes also included Rhaenyra approaching a wild dragon as well. She's basically taking on the role of Nettles, who it seems will be absent from the show. They might still introduce her, but yeah, it's likely any stuff involving Nettles that I mentioned going ahead is likely just going to be her character. Unless they have stuff like her shagging Daemon, which is what happens in the book, which would be a bit weird, so hopefully they just don't have that bit with Rhaenyra. Either way, Otto Hightower was also shown imprisoned, and we had the forces of Westeros marching for war. Out in the wild as well are also the 2 Targaryen kids which Rhaenyra sent away. Those are Aegon and Viserys, which, yeah, cheers George, that's not going to get really confusing. That takes us to the first major story point though, which is their capture on board the Gay Abandon. Carrying the 2 princes, it's currently on its way to Pentos. Unfortunately, this is surrounded by the Triarchy, and they go looking for the pair. Young Aegon manages to escape on his dragon Stormcloud, which was the boys' first and last time flying it. Pelted with arrows and the scorpion bow through its neck, it still valiantly carried the king back to Dragonstone. Aegon basically carried the guilt of this forever as he deserted his brother, and his dragon also died within the hour, and basically horrendous day for the kid, who's even found like drenched in urine and shivering like a leaf. As for Viserys though, the young Viserys, fucking confusing, his dragon egg, that hadn't hatched, so he was simply unable to flee. Instead, he stayed on the ship, donned some clothes and hid amongst the crew. Unfortunately though, another ship boy snitched on him, and thus he was captured by the fleet. If he wanted some clothes though that made people go wow, instead of get him now, then he should have checked out our merch store right below the video. There we have a whole host of Thrones inspired merch, including our Knight of the Seven Kingdoms stuff, as well as our generic dragon stuff as well. Whether you like the melee one, the joust or tourney ones, or even this dragon one that I've got behind me, mate, we've got it all for you, along with discounts on the more shirts you buy. Anyway, all of this was a massive surprise attack that caught the Blacks completely off guard. Driftmark was then burned, and Spice Town was never rebuilt. Rhaenyra then sent out her forces to fight the fleet, and they were led by Jacaerys. When Prince Jacaerys swept down upon a line of lacing galleys on Vermax, a rain of spears and arrows rose up to meet him. The sailors of the Triarchy had faced dragons before whilst warring against Prince Daemon the Stepstones. No man could fault their courage. They were prepared to meet Dragonflame with such weapons as they had. "Kill the rider, and the dragon will depart," their captains and commanders had told them. One ship took fire, and then another. Still the men of the free cities fought on, until a shout rang out, and they looked up to see more winged shapes coming around the Dragon Mountain, turning towards them. Amongst these were the Dragon Seeds, Ulf, Adam, Hugh and Nettles, but like I said, it's just going to be Rhaena, who we do see at the Battle of the Gullet during the trailer. Either way, together they burned the Triarchy's fleet. However, the battle wasn't without its losses. Jace's dragon Vermax was killed during the fight. Again, the Triarchy sailors had experience with Daemon from the Battle of the Stepstones, which was something we saw at the midpoint of Season 1. They shot it down and the dragon crashed into the water, which is where Jacaerys scrambled for a way to survive. It is said that Jacaerys Velaryon left free and clung to a piece of smoking wreckage for a few heartbeats, until some crossbowmen on the nearest Myra ship began loosing quarrels at him. The prince was struck once, and then again. More and more mermen brought crossbows to bear. Finally, one quarrel took him through the neck, and Jace was swallowed by the sea. After this bit, it mentions how Vermax was also killed, much in the same way that Meraxes was. This is the dragon skull that Rhaenyra has been spotted at in front of throughout Season 2, which subtly foreshadowed the fall of her son. The book even mentions how similar it was, which I think this series is setting up. Although this was a massive get for the Triarchy, they still suffered their losses too. The battle was so bad on both sides that Corlys even said that if this is what winning feels like, then he doesn't want to know losing, or something along those lines anyway. Many people died on both sides, and Lokar was blamed by the Triarchy for holding back their fleet. This then led to the breakup of the group and meant that the whole side exited the conflict. The Dragon Seed celebrated though, with Ulf even saying he should be made a lord because of it. In Season 2, you know, towards the end especially, he was a bit like, I'm the fucking best, I'm the #1 boy, I'm Kevin Spoilers. And this was clearly rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. He actually ends up getting very, very big-headed and even switches sides, which I think is something that we're gonna see the seeds of early in this season. The dragon seeds of, you could say. Adam was also traumatized by the battle and he sought out his father. The book doesn't actually explain what they talked about, but no doubt this will be something that's ripe for expansion in Season 3. Anyway, another big dangling thread is the fate of Otto Hightower. Unfortunately for old Otto, I do feel like he's going to be beheaded at the start of Season 3. In the work, this was done after Rhaenyra took King's Landing, but due to the change here, they might end up altering it. Again, we saw him locked up at the end of Season 2, which was a big deviation from the books. In the book, he was still at King's Landing despite being fired by Aegon. In the show, though, he left and originally said he was going back to Old Town before Alicent asked him to try and secure High Garden's allegiances to the Greens. So it seems like he's been captured between King's Landing and High Garden or Old Town. That's a plot thread that I am most unsure about, but we do have a pretty good idea of what happens next. All the promos have shown Rhaenyra on the Iron Throne wearing the crown of her father and Jaehaerys, so I do think that, yeah, we're definitely seeing the taking of King's Landing. I think the season's going to start off with Rhaenyra being at basically her lowest point, and then after the Battle of the Gullet, even fucking worse. The miscarriage, losing her strong, very strong son Lucerys and now Jacaerys, this makes her decide to finally fight. She gets on her dragon and with her newly assembled army marches on King's Landing. Now while this is going on, the Greens, including Criston Cole and Aemond, they march on Harrenhal. This is obviously just a big burnt out wreck though, so the Blacks didn't have any issue leaving it. Instead, it was just used as a distraction, and while the two best fighters for the Green occupied it, Rhaenyra and Daemon managed to take the Red Keep. Dragons flew overhead King's Landing, which made the small folk panic, but who didn't was the defenders, the Gold Cloaks. Instead of fighting though, they simply turned against their masters and declared royalty to the Blacks. This is because Daemon used to lead them and they really enjoyed his rule. They got called Turn Cloaks because of it, but the commander wittingly said that the cloaks look gold whatever way they're turned. Absolutely done you there, mate. Season 2, of course, also showed us how popular Rhaenyra was with the people. She even sent gifts of food, hit the thumbs up, and promised the bastards acceptance if they could claim a dragon, and so on and so forth. Plus, Alicent rolled out the green carpet for them, so it's not exactly like it's going to be tough taking it. In the book, Gwaine Hightower was installed in the ranks to ensure loyalty to the Greens. However, in the show, you know, he was last seen asking Kristen about banging Alicent, so I do wonder if he's going to side with the Blacks, especially since his sis basically opened up the door for them. Don't think that's going to be a case of like, oh, you guys are here, whoa, I fucking love you guys. I think it's going to be more like, do you want to bend the knee or we will kill you? And he's been like, well, my dad's dead. My sister's a fucking dickhead. Kristen Cole's a twat. They're all fucking dickheads in general. Sign me up. Might not happen, but theory time there. Due to this, though, in general, it's a relatively easy battle for the Blacks, and the Hightowers are defeated in just 8 hours. Rhaenyra then apparently spent the rest of the day and night forcing the people of the Red Keep to swear loyalty or be killed. Now this, I hope, is going to be something that lets us see more of the Rhaenyra the Cruel arc. In the book, she's nicknamed Maegor with teats, but the show has been reserved in making her a villain. She's been completely whitewashed, which has been a big complaint around the show. However, due to some stuff said by Ryan Condal, it does make me think they might actually give her a bit more of a villainous side here.
And of course, whenever anybody hears a prophecy, particularly somebody who believes themselves to be exceptional by birth or bloodline, they will exploit that and use that as a reason, a manifest destiny for the choices that they're making and the things that they're doing. So if Rhaenyra believes or comes to believe that she is meant to be the one, the chosen one, the one that Viserys dreamed of, and the reason that Aegon passed the stream down was just so it could get to Rhaenyra, the first female sovereign to sit the Iron Throne, we know that it's not her, but it's really interesting to see how the belief of that can be doubted or committed to or believed in and then wielded throughout the course of her attempt to claim the Iron Throne.
Condal said that this season especially is going to deconstruct the whole chosen one arc, that mythos kind of thing that we've seen in stuff like Dune, where they kind of break it apart, that sort of thing, and basically it's probably going to take her down from her pedestal. Now, another big thing they can do to destroy her reputation is the way things play out with Helena. In the seizures, she's caught and locked up in Maegor's holdfast. According to the book, her remaining son's then killed and his head sent to her as a nice little gift. In the story, Rhaenyra did this to mock her, and it sends Helena even more off the deep end. She throws herself off the balcony and is impaled on the spikes below. Alicent in the season also wanted peace as well, and I do wonder if she's going to regret doing this deal now. In the book, she curses Rhaenyra because of this, and thus I think it's going to be carried to the season. This would also explain why Helena was in Daemon's visions when he saw the capture of the keep. She's one of the big innocent victims that comes out of this, and thus I think that's why she appeared in that scene. Now, Helena visiting Daemon like this reflected the throne room scene from earlier in season 2. There was Aemond with their two fates being closely linked. Alice and Helena have been prophets that have told them their fates, with them both saying that they're gonna die at the God's Eye. Alice said it to Daemon at the Weirwood Tree overlooking it, and Helena said it to Aemond at the Red Keep. Feel like their battle may be what ends season 3, however, it could be something that they tease for season 4. Either way, Daemon goes out of the tree where he awaits the coming of Aemond. On the 14th day of the prince's vigil, a shadow swept over the castle, blacker than any passing cloud. All the birds in the godswood took to the air in fright, and a hot wind whipped the fallen leaves across the yard. Vhagar had come at last, and on her back rode the one-eyed Prince Aemon Targaryen, clad in night-black armor chased with gold. Alice was with him as well, and the work says that she had a baby in her belly. Because of this, it's likely we're going to get the pair hooking up when Aemon's at Harrenhal. I even wonder if Aemon tries to use his sister's foresight in season 3, as he's now aware that she can see things. However, I don't feel like she's going to help him, and instead I think he's going to turn to Alice. She'd be able to help with the future stuff, and it could add to why the characters get closer. I do think they'll likely save this all for season 4 though, and instead just focus on the setup for this fight. Because of that though, I don't really want to spoil what the outcome is, but yeah, that could be a major thing we end at. Now, speaking of bloodshed, I also feel like we're going to get the Battle of the Fork next time, but that this might be one of those off-screen battles as they are. You know the kind, mate. Ones where it's like, mate, that was mental, that, mate. Did you see that, mate? Best battle I've ever seen. That, can't believe that. That was crazy. At the end of the season 2 finale, we did see the Lannisters marching forth and know that the Starks have crossed the Twins. This leads to the battle at the Red Fork, which is another massive one in the war. However, due to the Battle of the Gullet being saved because of budgetary reasons, I think that when it comes to that battle, we might get a sort of burning mill situation. That was really big in the book, but for the show we only saw the aftermath, and thus for this I think we're probably going to get flashes of it with like Craig and Stark and stuff, but beyond that, not a big blowout massive battle, but I might be wrong. But yeah, to me it doesn't really carry much weight plot wise, so I think it'll likely only be touched upon. It's also likely that we're going to see lots of things with a character known as the Shepherd. Described as looking like a pale ghost, he's known for his missing hand and long beard. It's possible that we saw his origin story in season 2, and this could be something that carries forward. With everything that's going on, the Shepherd basically preaches that the dragons are demons. This gets people into a big massive fever, a mob's formed, and the dragon pit is stormed. This sees the death of several of the creatures, and we know by Night of the Seven Kingdoms that they're all but extinct. This massive scene also included the death of Joffrey, and the seeds are clearly being sown in season 2. However, it wasn't an easy win for the people, and scores of riders were burned alive and eaten by the beasts. Like, imagine the dragon pit scene from season 2 but turned up to 11, that sort of thing. This scene includes Helena's dragon Dreamfire being killed as well, which so far hasn't really been in the show. This is something that will probably happen at the end of the series, if not at least we get the groundwork for it and they pay it off in season 4. Rhaenyra then ends up fleeing the kingdom, which I think would be a good way to close things out. We could also have the opening half of the season centre around her taking the kingdom, and then have the second half dealing with her losing the throne. I do wonder if they're going to end with Rhaenyra triumphant though, as so far the closers have been a bit of a downer for her, if we're being honest. They're all downers. Either way, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it and what you think is going to happen in the season. If you want to support the channel as a member of the Spoiler Society as well, then please click the join button, and for just 99 cents a month you'll get early access to videos every single week. The Shining is up right now. We've also got Moonraker as well, lots of Bond stuff, and yeah, lots of things that you guys are gonna love. If you want to follow us on Instagram as well and keep up to date with what we're doing, then why not check us out at Heavy Spoilers. If not though, thank you for sitting through this video. I'll of course be back on Sunday for the finale of Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and hope to see you there. Without the way though, I've been your host Paul, you've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care, and peace.